Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to another speed build. I decided to build a Cape Cod, New England kind of mansion. I built this house on a 64x64 lot, so this was kind of a huge project. I don't build on 64x64 lots too often because once you kind of start building, you realize what you have gotten yourself into. But it was a lot of fun. Here you can see how I'm using a round piece of foundation. For this I used the biggest one available that already has a fence attached to it. And when you make it one tile smaller on each side and then you copy it and merge it together, you have a perfect half circle. And of course you could also copy that one again so you have a perfect circle. If you use the regular round foundation piece, it's not perfectly round, and I was going for a very perfect nice round shape, so I used this one. Here I'm attaching a gambrel roof, so as I said, I was going for a New England Cape Cod kind of style, and these roofs are very typical for this type of build. When you look up traditional Cape Cod houses, they are quite simple. They actually resemble traditional small colonial American houses a lot, but then when you look up mansions, they are totally over the top, just like any kind of big lavish mansion, and people added towers, which is what I'm doing here right now. And just lots of fun things. The color scheme is mostly gray or a light blue in combination with some black and a lot of white. So I built this in Brindleton Bay, and Brindleton Bay is set in New England. This is the style this world is going for, and a lot of the stuff that we got in the cats and dogs pack is actually perfect for building a house like this. The fences, for example, the windows. So I used a lot of stuff out of this pack. If you are going for this type of look, I can really recommend you using this pack. For the gambrel roofs that I'm building here, I simply built a room in the center and placed a normal gable roof on top, and then I added the roof on the sides underneath it, as you just saw. This sounds tricky, but it's not really tricky. I have made a roof tutorial in the past. It's on my channel, and there I'm also explaining how you can build this type of roof in detail. I think it looks very dreamy, really beautiful. You can use it for many different kind of builds really, but as I said, it's really perfect for this kind of style. Building this took a while and it was a lot of fun. The furnishing was fun as well, but when you start to furnish a 64x64 lot, it's always so much work. But then I realized that it's not as much work as I thought, because I used these type of roofs. The whole top floor is kind of a hot mess, because even though the rooms are enclosed, some sections are bugging inside the rooms, so I would have to raise all the roofs, and this would kind of destroy the whole look. So eventually I decided that I would only furnish the lower floor, the bottom floor. So eventually I decided that I would only furnish the bottom floor because the top floor is not really usable. So even though this looks like a crazy multiple story mansion, it's really not. And I know that a lot of people actually prefer to play in some type of bungalow, so there's only one floor, which is really manageable. And I added 3 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms to this house. 2 of the bathrooms belong to 2 of the bedrooms, so 2 bedrooms are an ensuite, 2 bedrooms are just regular bedrooms for grown-ups or teenagers or whatever, and one of the bedrooms is a kids room. And here I'm working on another patio. I added some trellis using fences. For this you just have to use the fence tool. You basically drag a room with the fence tool, you use the sledgehammer to remove the center, and then you just add the rest of the fence. Very simple. And here I'm starting to work on the cascading flower bed that I placed in the front. This was a little bit tricky, but it worked out just fine. So in this game, as you guys know, we are not able to connect foundations of different heights. So what I did here was I placed a piece of foundation, and then I just expanded it using the terrain tool, and this way I was able to create the illusion of different foundation heights being connected, but in reality between each piece of foundation there is just terrain. I used the flatten terrain tool, and then I added a floor on top that just looks like grass. And then, I mean, you don't have to do that because when you are placing some plants on top, it's not really visible, but this is what I did here. And I decided to make it go around the corner. Basically, I am also going to add a round piece of foundation, and at first I wasn't sure how high I wanted each individual foundation piece to be, because this of course determines how many steps each stairs have. I just decided to place the stairs in between the flower bed, so this is kind of where the stairs lead to the main entrance, and I think it turned out super cute. I think I'm going to make a guide for this if you guys are interested, and also in my last video I had asked you if you would be interested in a let's build, and I hear my people, you said yes, and I'm already started to work on a little something, so there will definitely be a let's build soon. This will be my first ever let's build. I'm super excited for this, and I'm kind of figuring things out how to do that, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, hopefully. So as you saw, the flower bed now also has kind of a round section. I used a round piece of foundation, and I'm going to make a guide for this, but as I said, you just kind of have to connect the foundation with the terrain, and I can only advise to do it kind of step by step. So just kind of start somewhere and then just work out where you are going with this idea. This is what I did here. I had no idea that I would really be able to add a round piece of foundation. It was just very finicky, but I love this kind of stuff when you are just figuring something out and trying it. And as you can see, the terrain is acting weird in front of the flower bed on the right side. I figured out later that there was a piece of floor that kind of made it impossible for the terrain to be flat, so I'm going to remove that later so it's all perfectly flat. This was driving me crazy because I don't know, with this kind of stuff I'm kind of a perfectionist and I didn't like how it looked. Added another trellis on top to the gambrel roof and just a little balcony, just different kind of things to make it look beautiful. I think that this type of fence that is part of cats and dogs, as I said, really adds to the look. And I'm also adding some corbels here and just lots of details. You guys know that I love details, so that's what I did here. And I kept it quite simple actually regarding the landscaping. I didn't use tons of plants, as you will see, and it's a kind of crazy and at the same time pretty simple house. And I think the cool thing is the round section in the front and the flower bed, and I really like that it looks so dreamy. And as I said, I had tried to build something similar before, but it kind of never really worked out, so I'm really pleased how this turned out. I always try my best to recreate a certain style when I'm really going for a certain style, but it's always kind of difficult because there's only so much we can do in the game, and then I don't know, you always kind of add your own style and personality, which is a good thing. So sometimes it's not really 100% authentic, at least not when I'm building something, I guess. I'm sorry for that, but I hope that I kind of captured the kind of Cape Cod mansion kind of essence. I here decided to add another little roof. I don't know, I just felt like the exterior of the section was lacking something. I always try to kind of create a balanced look, and when I feel like, okay, there's so much going on in the exterior, but then in one section there is nothing really and it's really bland, then I just kind of try to add more without going totally overboard. So it kind of has to feel balanced. I added some what I call custom freezers, and I just use shelves for this. I mainly use the shelves that are part of Get Together for this. And here I added a curved path. I have also made a tutorial for this in the past. This is very simple. You just use a round piece of foundation and then you add a fence. But I made a tutorial for this because you kind of have to figure out how to place them so it looks nice and you have a lovely curve. I'm going to link the tutorial playlist down below so you guys can take a look at this if you are interested in recreating the curved paths and the roofs. So, as I said, the landscaping regarding the plants and flowers is very simple. I didn't want to use tons of color because the exterior is mainly blue. It has this light blue, and I don't know, this kind of style looks just so soft and so beautiful. It's very simple, and the star of the show color-wise is the combination of the white with the blue. In my opinion, it's just so soft and so beautiful, so I didn't want to use, I don't know, bright red flowers on the exterior or something. so I didn't use that much color on the outside. I just added some pastel purple flowers later on, but that's really it. And for the flowers that I placed underneath the windows, I used the classic white base game flowers. I think they're also available in yellow and a light blue and in red. At first I wanted to use the light blue. It's a very, very light pastel, beautiful blue. There's not much difference between the white and the blue one actually, but then I just kind of decided to go with the white one because this is kind of the style. I also used the lamps that are part of the cats dogs pack, and I decided to use a very classic white fence going all around the lot. And because I built the curved path, I just kind of had to fill in the rest of the grass with the green floor that looks like grass. I'm going to remove a section because I wanted to create some other flower beds, and for this I wanted to use the terrain paint, and of course the terrain paint doesn't show up on any type of floor, so I kind of filled in as much as possible with the floors you can see here, and then I'm just hiding the edges with some rocks. You guys know that I love to use rocks. I had a phase where I just used really tons of rocks in combination with terrain. I don't know, this was fun and weird. This was kind of when I really discovered my love for the terrain tool. So I love to use rocks, but I feel like this is just the right amount of rocks for this build probably. These chairs are also part of the cats and dogs pack. I just love this pack so much, not only because I really enjoy this type of style, but it just, I don't know, so beautiful for any type of really cozy, beautiful family home. There's just so much good stuff available. I know that a lot of people weren't really the biggest fan of this pack because everyone kind of expected other animals or maybe even horses to be added, and I know a lot of people were disappointed, but I actually really like this pack, and I think I may be in the minority here, but I also really enjoy the cats and the dogs in this pack. I really love how they behave. I don't know, they just feel so real, much realer than the ones in Sims 3. I don't know, when they were jumping back and forth over kitchen counters and stuff, I don't know, they just feel so real for me. And here I'm doing the same thing. I removed a section of the floor to use the terrain tool. This is just a little gazebo. I felt like the front section was too empty, and a cute little gazebo is always a good thing. And here I'm starting to work on the back, so I'm going to go back to the back section later. I just kind of laid out the general layout here, added some windows and the fence on top, columns. I'm going to expand the little patio section later, so I will be able to add some stairs, because as you guys know, unfortunately we are not able to add stairs to a diagonal section. We can't place them diagonally, which would be the best thing ever. I would love to be able to do that. And this little stone rock, if you want to call it that, is part of Jungle Adventure. And here I'm just adding more details, and I just kind of almost finish up the exterior. I added these little roofs over some of the windows and another table on the patio. Just some last little touches until I move on to furnish this house. So at first I furnished it, and then I started to work on the garden and on the back section a little more. And I added some trees that are again part of the cats and dogs pack, because I don't know, but the contrast between this very cool colored build and some autumnal trees is just beautiful in my opinion. Of course you can, if you're playing with seasons, just switch to autumn, but what I really like about these trees is that they're just always autumnal. You don't need autumn in this game, and also you just have these beautiful blooming flowers in summer, and you also have these autumnal trees at the same time, because when it's autumn in this game, of course the flowers aren't as beautiful anymore. I'm the biggest autumn fan, by the way, in real life and in the game. It's my favorite season, so of course I really enjoy these beautiful autumnal trees. And here I'm starting to work on the interior. So this is the kitchen and dining room section. I kind of really tried to continue the same theme of the exterior on the interior. I used some blue. I really wanted this to look rustic. And here I added, I think it's a sign at the top of the, like some kind of backsplash for the kitchen. And then I added these little rocks on top, and these are actually used for any type of exterior decoration, and these came with the jungle pack, I think, and I just added them so I would be able to have, I don't know, just more details. So I was able to create a custom kind of rock wall, and I added a little half wall in the center. I saw this actually at Thomas TV in a speed build, and I really like how he kind of created this idea. So full credit to him. This is such an amazing idea. I really love that you can just place the stove right in front of the half wall. It just looks very cool. And I added a little dishwasher and sink section on the left side. This room is quite big, the whole house is quite big, so I wanted to make use of the space, but I also didn't want to have like a kitchen that has, I don't know, 10 miles of counters, which isn't really a good look sometimes. So the island counter in the center is kind of where the Sims can hang out and sit and have breakfast, because I feel like sometimes Sims don't really like to sit down on a dining table, especially when other Sims are around and cook and they have a conversation. And I added some clutter on the shelves, and I was really trying to make it look cozy and rustic. This is kind of a really unique floor plan because the dining room and some type of hallway section is going around the kitchen, and it's really open. I added some spandrels on top, and I just used some columns on the side, so it's very open, and the whole dining room section is going around it. Once again, I used some objects that are part of the cats and dogs pack, just so, and it just goes together so well. As I said, this is exactly the kind of style this pack is really going for. Very cozy, very rustic, just perfect for this. And I placed some windows actually inside the wall to kind of further connect the kitchen area with the dining room, and I really wanted to add some huge windows in the back so this room is a little bit brighter. This is the dining room. I rarely use the round tables, but I just felt like this is perfect. This round beautiful rock and then this table. And because this room was so big, I also added a little bar and a little corner to sit. So this is just a really big mansion. There's a lot of space. Also, even though I didn't use that much of that pack, I think the perfect pack to combine with the cats and dogs pack is Parenthood. So if you're going for a very rustic kind of look, Parenthood is the perfect pack to just kind of complete these type of furniture style. I can really recommend it. This bar is also part of cats and dogs because it just has kind of a nautical theme to it, and I also used some of the decorations, and I placed a piano in the corner, so if your Sims would like to entertain some guests, there could be someone playing the piano, where they have a beautiful dinner, for example. This is kind of the backstory that I had in mind for this, and there was a random bar stool right in the room, and I have no idea why, so I removed it. Also, in case you have missed it, yesterday was another Maxis Monthly. I can really recommend tuning into the Maxis Monthly. It's very cool just to sometimes hear backstories of the development of the Sims. The Sim Gurus are just, I don't know, telling funny, interesting stories. Sometimes, not always, we get a announcement for new content. It's always very fun. And for this Maxis Monthly, Lindsay was asking Sim Guru Duke some questions that Simmers had asked, and it was really entertaining and really fun. And this time around there was new announcement for new content, but Lindsay hinted that there will be a announcement for something very soon. So I personally don't think we have to wait that long, not only because she kind of teased it now, but EA Play is soon, so I don't know, I think we're going to have a exciting announcement very soon. Also, in the last Maxis Monthly before yesterday's one, they said that there will be one expansion pack, one game pack, and one stuff pack within the next 6 months. So there's going to be a lot of new content. So of course at some point they will have to release it and they will have to announce it. So I think we are in for a very exciting treat very soon. Who knows what it's going to be? Maybe even university. I don't know, but I'm just really hyped for any type of new content content, just like all of you probably. Talking about the announcement of content, I just quickly want to talk about what I have planned for the future videos on this channel. Of course, speed builds are kind of the core of this channel. This is what it's been about right from the beginning, but in between I want to have more guides and tutorials, again mostly guides. And as I said, I have already been planning a let's build and have been working on that, so I just kind of want to mix things up in between, so there will be speed builds mainly, but in between every now and then a fun guide that kind of explains something, because a speed build of course is sped up, it's very fast, and even though I'm explaining things, it's kind of too fast to really see what's going on sometimes. So I really want to make some guides where I can explain and show what I was talking about in a speed build, just like these cascading flower beds, for example, just little things that are much better to explain when it's not sped up. So this is kind of what I thought about doing, so it's kind of in between other speed builds. There's some other content. I don't know what you guys think about this. You already said that you would really enjoy to see a let's build, and someone said that guides would be fun, so I think it would be good to have kind of a fun mix going on. This is one of the bathrooms. This is kind of the main bathroom, I would say. There are also other bathrooms, but this is kind of the biggest one, and this is a bathroom that everyone can use. It's not attached to a bedroom. This is kind of a big family bathroom. I don't know, family bathroom is a weird thing to say, but yeah, just the main bathroom. I again tried to make it really rustic, and I separated the toilet from the rest of the bathroom, so multiple people would be able to use it at once. You could also move the door to the outside so it leads to the hallway. This would probably make a lot of sense as well. I added a corner bathtub and just different things, and as you can see here, the other bathrooms, you see one in the background, kind of have the same theme going on, just much smaller. This is one of the end suites. I again kept it very rustic, kind of dreamy, a combination of white and a lot of dark brown, so it just looks very inviting. And for the other bedroom, I used a lot of blue because of course the exterior has a lot of blue, and I felt like this would be nice to have one room that has a lot of blue going on. And this is the kids' bedroom. I used a lot of pink. This is super dreamy and cute. I really love how this room turned out. You could also put another bed inside, but I kept it quite big because this is a mansion after all, and I really wanted to make this kids' room quite luxurious, so the kid has a lot of space. And I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again, you can totally size down these unbelievably huge doll houses. They just look horrible in my opinion. They're just too huge, but you can just size it down. I read this on Twitter, I mentioned this before, but I think it's super helpful, so I'm going to mention it again. They're still fully functional, so you can size them down and they look like a more realistic dollhouse basically. And this is the garden. So in the center I sectioned off kind of a area where I wanted to add a little roof or trellis and a table in the center. This is kind of just where you hang out on the outside, you sit, you have a barbecue, and you enjoy the beautiful garden. I added much more plants to the back than I added to the front. Again, I kept it quite neutral in color. I just added these pastel purple plants, so there is a very slight pastel pop of color and just not too much, and some plants around it. I mean, when you look up gardens for this type of house, there are a lot of flowers. It's almost like a beautiful fairy tale, and I combined these white blossom trees with the whole kind of flower bed. These are also part of cats and dogs. I used some rocks to kind of frame the edges of the flower bed. I added a pool because a garden for a mansion just needs to have a pool when there's enough space for that. Monkey bars. I really wanted the garden to be very dreamy and very inviting, so it just kind of goes well together. As you saw, I also added some stairs on the left side to the patio, so your Sims would be able to walk down there. And of course this house is available in the gallery. It's fully furnished and I didn't use any CC. And this is it, guys. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. If so, please like and subscribe, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.